Hey everybody, welcome to Take the Black Live, the show where myself, Dan Selcke, and Mia Johnson of fansided.com talk about all things Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire, Doctor Who, Star Wars, Spider People, fantasy, sci-fi, all that good stuff. And I love that new intro, by the way.
Yay, I'm finally in there. I'm finally a part of the family.
Yes, you officially exist, Mia. You are in the intro.
Yay.
Also, we had great moments like that arrow shooting off my head was honestly a scary moment. It really was. Like, I was there, and the guy said, I'm a great marksman. And I'm not kidding. He told me before he did that, I haven't done this in a long while, but I'm sure you can do it.
Oh, that makes me confident.
And I'm like, why didn't you tell me that before I, stood up here and put the thing in my head? So I could make an informed decision.
You're still alive. You're here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was a foam arrow. Even if it didn't, it would hit me, right in the forehead or something, but... It wouldn't be a real arrow. Anyway, hey Terry, hey everybody watching. Today we have a potpourri of nerddom for you. After last week's bum rush of giant news items, new Game of Thrones prequel canceled, Game of Thrones prequel on. They've been here from Dan White's gone from Star Wars. Oh, it was exhausting.
Yeah, they gave us a lot last week.
So I figured this week we would relax a little bit, luxuriate in some upcoming Game of Thrones merchandise to start. Hello, Louise. Glad to see you. Starting with, because I think yesterday they came out with 2 glossy Game of Thrones coffee table books and another one here. This is just a series for books in time for holidays. Starting with the art of Game of Thrones, and the photography of Game of Thrones. We have some exclusive images from both of them that we were gifted by Inside Editions, including this lovely image of it. It does look pretty cool. So, talking Game of Thrones, Helen Sloan did the photography for all 8 seasons of the show. This book is full of her work. You got a beautiful Johnny Negret picture there, and with lots of text explaining how it happened. And again, this is from the Art of Game of Thrones, which is full of concept art. Very, very cool. Concepting for The Long Night, Good Time, the Battle of Winterfell. I mean, I love this one, actually. This is behind-the-scenes stuff. I love the one on the right, where, Jack Gleeson, who plays Joffrey, is, sitting on his own coffin.
Oh, is that...
I'm pretty sure that is from the scene where Cersei and Jaime have sex over their dead son's body. And just between takes, I'm my body, and I'm just sitting here on my coffin having a good time.
One awkward spot all around.
And then it's incredibly awkward all around. And then the left people are it's just fun to think about behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Just roll cut, Brienne stops screaming, and 18 people rush in to touch up her back of her neck and her hair.
Get a little powder on her face.
Exactly. Get some blood splatter there. So this was particularly interesting.
Yes.
So hold on this one for a while, Richard in the booth. This came from Vanity Fair. This is from the Art of Game of Thrones, the concept art book. This is how they originally concepted the Night King to look on the left over there.
Yes.
And that's how he actually looks in the show. Yes. With the robes and the much higher crown. Do you have any take on that?
It's kind of giving me like a Father Christmas sort of vibe.
A little bit, yeah.
Or like a zombified, like what were those movies, like Krampus sort of thing?
Totally. I mean, who else said it? I think it was a Star Wars thing going around, like a Palpatine thing going on a little bit, versus a Darth Maul thing that we actually got.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like it. I think he looks more like a king. He's got robes and a little more regal.
Yeah, it is. The right is kind of like a warrior guy, and the left is I think definitely more regal.
I think they actioned him up because they thought he'd be doing action-y things, which he really didn't do.
Yeah.
I mean, he did some, but mostly he did just kind of stand back and be kingly.
I almost think with the amount of action that he didn't do, that the regal way almost could have been just as terrifying.
I agree with you, actually. Actually, no. What they were saying, it looks too much like the ring wraiths from Lord of the Rings, which I do see a little bit. I do still like it, though.
Yeah, I like the design.
It totally worked out, but it's cool to see. Terry says Dark Crystal. I can see it. Sherry has Ring of Thrones. Okay. And Louise, of course, says concept art for the Long Night, much clearer than the actual footage.
I was gonna joke about that, but I didn't want to be mean.
Oh, no, you can be mean. It's fine.
I was like, I can actually see that.
We can be, I think, we don't want to go, full tilt mean to, a 10, but, a 6 is fine.
No, yeah, that's definitely...
That's a 3.
Yeah.
That's fine.
At least it's a lot clearer. It kind of helps you to see. It's so what would have happened? What you would have seen.
Looks like the Nazgul for LOTR, says Louise. And yeah, I agree. I still kind of dig it, though. So those are both out now. Very
Yes.
cool. As is this book that you got a copy of,
Yes,
by the way.
that we saw.
Tell us about this, Mia.
A little bit earlier this week, and I got some time to actually look at it, and I did a little bit of a review of it myself. It's got a hefty title, Game of Thrones, A Guide to Westeros and Beyond, the complete series. So this...
By Miles McNutt,
Yes,
who
by
has been
Miles
writing
McNutt.
for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
I forget exactly where, but he's been around for a while.
Yeah, this is coming through from Chronicle Books. Definitely is an HBO book. And what this is a big, huge, chunky guide to everything Game of Thrones from season 1 through season 8. So they break up the book into 2 parts. So the first is talking about the South and Essos. So it takes you through like Robert Baratheon. Obviously, there's a huge spread on Lannisters.
Oh, I actually really like that.
Yeah, look at this.
I mean-
I don't know if I'm like doing photo time right.
This is like almost a photo book in itself.
It is. It really is.
I mean, that's a gorgeous shot.
Of Cersei, and they've got these cool graphics too, like
Gotta have graphics.
glasses of wine, Cersei versus Tyrion. So a lot of like infographics, and like for
That's
people like
beautiful.
me, you can skip the Joffrey page, but for
Still looks
people
great.
like me, oh yeah, it's
Oh,
kind
look
of
at
like
that.
it's so well done. It's really well done. It's kind of like a look at my Brienne. They've got
Is it a poem?
yes.
Oh, it's the Bear and the Maiden.
Yeah,
Fair
there we
song.
go. And then there's another like Warrior Brienne too. But it's basically kind of like a good guide for people who I was like, it's really for anybody. Like for people who know the show.
Sure.
It's kind of like brushing up on it. And like you can even like quiz yourself, like, ooh, how much do I know about this family or this character? Or how many glasses of wine Cersei drank? And then for like the people like me, it's kind of just like this is the like this is it. Like I
Right.
need to be studying this every single day before I get into this conversation. This is my textbook now. So
I mean, I'm pulling back a little bit. Clearly, HBO is thinking, okay, we got to get out some merch
Yeah.
by the time the holidays roll around, but not too long after the show ends.
Yeah.
So we can capitalize on the stuff. I think that's the reason it's happening.
It's definitely a nice glossy sort of like guidebook,
But I mean,
gift kind of
it
thing.
is beautiful.
Yeah, I will not deny that. It really feels
Are
nice.
you the kind of person who would get something like this? Maybe not for Game of Thrones, but like if they put out a glossy Marvel photo book, would you spring for it?
I probably definitely would. I know in my
Okay.
bookshelf, years ago, I got the Wicked book.
Oh.
So it's more for like the musical, but it looks really cute. I like those kinds of things. Good coffee table books.
Totally.
I'm a design person, so I really like to make sure my house looks nice, even if I'm not going to read the book. But this one
These
is
books
worth
are
reading.
made for display.
Yeah, especially with these huge pictures and all that.
And Sherry would. I actually wouldn't. I'm just not that kind of. I like don't own a lot of merch.
Yeah.
I just don't. But maybe I will because it does look very, very nice.
Yeah, I'm definitely a merch person. So like anything, like not like any supporting or anything, but like Hot Topic, I'm always on, and all those sorts of things.
I have
Make
complicated feelings about merch and the ethics of it. We can talk about it in another show.
Oh, God,
like an
yeah.
individual, we can drill down on it. For right now, though, I thought we'd go through. So those are all cool. It's the
Oh, yeah.
holidays. They're putting out all these books. Art of Game of Thrones, Talk to Game of Thrones, and
I've got my own-
A Guide, to
Guide to
Westeros. All
Westeros.
available on Amazon if you're interested. All looking pretty quality.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, I thought we'd go through some of the fallout from last week.
Yeah.
Because last week they announced brand new show canceled. And there's still stuff coming in, little details about it that are
Yeah.
still happening even as we speak. I mean, they interviewed one of the actresses that was working on the Bloodmoon pilot. She just, basically said, what happens, it happens. Starts with cancer, which is true. George R. R. Martin, of course, talked a little bit about House of the Dragon, the new Targaryen-focused Dance of the Dragons.
Yes.
Though I got a haircut, people, if you didn't notice that, too.
You
All
look
very
nice.
and he said, quaff, working with Ryan Condal, the showrunner, on the development for House of the Dragons has been a dream. If things work out, I may even be able to script a few episodes, as I did for the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones. But, to make this perfectly clear, I am not taking on any scripts until I have finished and delivered Winds of Winter. Winter is still coming, and Winds remains my priority, as much as I'd love to write an episode of House. So, getting out ahead of himself there a little bit by
Yeah.
saying, even like speculating, it'd be fun to do something else. He
Yeah.
knows he's going to get a lot of pushback.
Yeah. I just don't. I know he wants to put the book first, and he would love to write for that. But I think, and we've had this conversation before, it's like priorities, and you need to make sure you can manage your workload. So I don't know if I can foresee him unless they go for a couple of seasons, which I honestly don't know how long that's going to go on.
I guarantee that's what they're aiming for.
Yeah.
I mean, that story Dance of the Dragons has a few seasons worth of story to tell.
Yeah.
Which is good. And I mean, of course they would, wouldn't they? I mean, they want some eyeballs on the set for as long as they can keep them.
Oh, George. Yeah, I think the ideal situation, would be to get him over there to write a couple episodes. Do you think?
Not really, no.
Really? So you think that they can handle it without him, and they've kind of...
If he were a different author, maybe. But look, he's him. He's who he is, and he clearly needs to be working on this stuff. Although, again, I don't want to get too sidetracked, but we talked about the irony of George R. R. Martin, where if the books weren't as big a success, they'd probably be done.
Yeah.
Because he's the kind of author who, just based on everything I've read about him, he did a new interview with NPR in Chicago a couple of weeks ago. Mm-hmm. It's very clear to me that just he gets in his head when there's attention on him. So the fact that everybody wants him to work faster makes him work slower. It's a cruel irony. Yeah. But it's the way it is.
Yeah. Okay, well, nix that idea then. Just let him do what he needs to do.
As to Caleb Otu, I'm not sure, but I would bet excellent money that Prince Oberyn is in the photo book.
I wish I could just magically turn to the page if I knew.
Oh yeah,
but it's super detailed in here. It's super detailed.
They look like. I don't want to tell you go buy this. I can't do that. If you want to buy it because they do look pretty cool. And if you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. Also valid. Merch does not define you. Okay. Anyway, what else happened? Okay, so we talked about that. I do want to really briefly tap into something that came up about the Star Wars exit.
Ooh, yeah.
There was so after Benioff and Weiss left Star Wars, there were a bunch of deep dives into why it happened.
Yeah, everybody's trying to figure out what happened.
Yeah, Hollywood Reporter, I think Variety did one, and talk to their sources. Mm-hmm. And things that came up were stuff like the Netflix deal, obviously. Mm-hmm. Apparently, Kathleen Kennedy wasn't a fan. They were trying to work on 2 projects, which does happen, people.
Yeah.
I mean, producers do work on lots of stuff. Ryan Murphy, Shonda Rhimes, they all do lots of crap.
Yeah.
But Kathleen, over at Star Wars and Lucasfilm, she does run a tight ship. That's pretty well known. Mm-hmm. She wasn't into it. There was some friction about what they wanted to do with it. And also, the thing that kind of, I think the hotbed topic that came up was that, according to one source, I don't know them, they were concerned about the Star Wars fandom reputation for toxic fandom, with a source saying, who wants to go through that again? Not them. This was in the life's too short category. Mia or our gentle viewers, do you have any opinion on that?
Yeah, about the toxic fandom.
Is that a legitimate reason to maybe not take a gig?
You know what? I think, at least from what I've seen, that a lot of these producers or directors have a lot of backbone. I think that these if you have a bad, if anybody says something bad, it probably will affect you in one way or another. It's all just dependent on how you take it. So I don't know. To me, it really doesn't seem like they would be the kind of people to let that sort of thing get in the way.
You would think
of backing down from a huge deal like being in Star Wars. I certainly wouldn't. And I don't know. It's like their reputation really for them isn't on the line, because even after what happened with Game of Thrones, I don't think that Lucasfilm would have just let them go because of that.
No.
I mean,
pretty clear Hollywood's still ready to embrace them. And they got a $250 million Netflix deal.
They're still hanging around with Rian Johnson, so it's not like...
They met George Lucas.
Did they? I mean,
yeah, they did. They talked about it. They got his advice.
Yeah, that was a good step. But as far as I don't know. That just, to me, that sort of sounds like a thing where they either might have joked about it or it came up briefly.
That's possible.
And then they just took it and ran with it.
I mean, again, this is a source,
right? Whoever the source
they didn't like
was.
It.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely I don't know. It's you can hate me if you want, but if I want to make Star Wars, I want to make Star Wars. If there was a legitimate concern, I think it would have been that they had too much on their plate. Or just the Netflix thing was too big for them to try to also juggle Star Wars. It
is true, this is a very wide and deep and interesting topic, that kind of fandom uprisings have become a little more common in recent years. It's almost like a new. I mean, it's always been around, but The Last Jedi in season 8 specifically, there was like a lot of outwelling of like, you know, kind of like gross sentiment online that kind of overwhelmed a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I am curious as to where that's going, and what the next one will be, and whether there's like a reckoning coming where we have to like reevaluate it.
Exactly.
Or like maybe this is not the best side of us that we should be showing, or are we gonna like embrace it further?
Yeah, and it's kind of like one of those things, just like a, Phil's Batman sort of thing, because like for Game of Thrones, I will say it deserved its fair share of criticism this last season, but I also think it takes away from the people that still did enjoy it, or like, some parts of the characters, some certain episodes and things like that. And I probably said this before, where it's like, oh, I really enjoy this, but if, a vocal minority is being so loud and belligerent about it, it kind of just sours the whole movie.
Oh, totally. Like, look, I had criticisms of the final season of Game of Thrones. Like, I did. I think legit criticisms. But the response, like, I was totally on their side.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't not be. Because even if I had things I was critical about it, like, in no way did it warrant the kind of ugly blow up it did.
The whole meltdown.
Like, I don't want to be on defending. I want to be helpfully critical and constructively critical.
Exactly.
But I'm put in the position where I find myself arguing against the overreaction, because I think that's, at the end of the day, the worst thing.
Yeah, I think so too. Luckily, not to go too far off topic, but what's the latest Terminator, Dark Fate?
Yeah.
Which is...
It's gotten like meh.
It's bombed, unfortunately, in the box office, but I haven't heard that much hate, thankfully, about the movie.
I'm not sure how people care.
That's what I've seen a lot of essays so far. One guy, was this Forbes? He just really kind of went in on that, like, no one cares angle, and I was like, yikes. But then again, it's still kind of like, well, there were people who I saw who like appreciated the diverse cast and just liked it as an action film. And again, it kind of undermines those voices of people who were like, oh, I did like it, even if it didn't make a lot of money, or, people didn't go up to see it. So, yeah, that's how we're living these days.
By the way, Louise asked, says about the books, they look gorgeous, but they bet they're expensive. I did just look up the price of the art of Game of Thrones. Just FYI, it is $67.50 on Amazon.
Yeah, I believe this one is in that ballpark as well.
Which, I mean, honestly, like, that's not crazy above what I expected for a book like this.
On the back, it says 50 US.
50 US?
Yeah. So you might find it for...
That's not terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, for a book that nice. But it is still, a lot to spend on a book of pictures. But again, you make your own choice.
Hi to everyone who made it just now, Debbie and Jen. Glad you can join us. You can always hit rewind.
Okay, so moving beyond Game of Thrones for movies unlike Terminator that we are excited about. Yeah. You were psyched about the teaser for Into the Spider-Verse Again, or 2, or whatever they call it.
Yeah, so they teased something like the day before, and you're like, ooh, something's going to happen. And then the next day, which pretty much everyone expected that it was going to be the sequel announcement.
Sure.
So it's coming out, I believe, April 8th, 2022. So we've still got, 3 years
Good Lord.
to wait.
I'm surprised they even know that far ahead. This is a sequel to Into the Spider-Verse, which was earlier this year?
That was December 2018, But it won the Oscar, I guess, technically this year.
It did, which was an animated Spider-Man movie, which was very good and kind of a kick in the butt to superhero movies.
Yeah. It's also kick in the butt to all the Disney movies and Pixar, because Disney, hands down, always wins the animated category. Mm-hmm. And for a very long time, I was sure that Incredibles 2 was going to win the Oscar. And then this came 6 months later, and they're like, hey, guess what?
There is a vibrancy to it I liked.
Yeah.
It felt different.
It did.
It's really good to have someone who's not Disney and also talented making other stuff there's other ways to do this.
Who would have thought? So I think everybody was really excited about that. And I think they've spaced it out, obviously, because it's animation, so you need time to work on that. Mm-hmm. And then Sony's got 3 or 4 other Spider-Man movies coming out between now and then. They've got Morbius movie with Jared Leto. They've got Venom 2 being directed by Andy Serkis. Then they've got the Spider-Man Homecoming 3, which is for 2021. And so then this would put Spider-Verse in 2022. So they are kind of rounding out their little Spider-Man universe.
I always have to ask this when we talk about all these superhero movies.
Yeah.
Is there a bubble, in your opinion?
What do you mean?
I mean, how many Spider movies can we possibly have
Oh
alongside Marvel movies and DC movies before eventually people start saying, no more?
Yeah. And if you think back, we had this with X-Men too, because they were doing all of their, Days of Futures Past and Logan and all that. I don't know. The Sonyverse is a little weird because they did pull off Venom. They didn't pull off The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield.
They did not, did they?
And I mean, obviously, with Kevin Feige's help, they've been pulling off the latest Spider-Man movies. So I don't know. I'm not like extremely pumped about these upcoming movies aside from Spider-Verse. So
I
I'm
just
just
want to see the Morpheus movie starring the little-known... Morbius, I'm sorry. I don't even know his name right.
Sorry, Jared Leto, which, geez, he's been getting a lot of flack about, especially with the comparisons of his Joker and Joaquin Phoenix's.
He will be in a successful superhero movie if it kills him.
Oh, God, yeah. Just don't send anybody dead pigs or anything like that anymore. Please stop that, Jared, please.
By the way, Jen Casey says, I am so excited for House of the Dragon, and I am too, Jen. I mean, again, we talked about it, but I think this is the prequel they should have gone with. I think it's the one that has the best chance of success. It's the most TV-ready story, and we've talked about what it involves.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So I'm looking forward to it, too.
Back.
I'm excited for The Witcher in December. We'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah, Holy Over Targaryens come back. We will talk about some other shows that we're watching now, because fall TV season has started. But first, you also want to discuss another fantasy show, or fantasy sci-fi on the border.
Realm, so
that's returning in the near future, I think. Next year, right?
So next year. So around that same time as the Spider-Verse teaser, we get a Doctor Who teaser, which was literally just this picture that y'all can see of like the Doctor's shadow stepping out of the TARDIS.
By Jodie Whittaker.
Yes, Jodie Whittaker.
Jodie Whittaker, okay.
And I like that they have a little rainbow effect on her shirt, because that's kind of like the shirt that she has. Well,
Oh, it's really clever.
Yeah. When I noticed that, I was like,
oh.
Okay. But yeah, so they're rolling on season 12. So we've kind of had like a yearish break in between this past season and the next season.
Which stirred up some controversy.
Yeah. I don't know. It's been a whole sort of controversial thing, especially with her being on, and some people don't like her doctor. Some people don't like the writing. And I kind of I'm in the same boat where it's like the writing has kind of not kept me coming back for this past season, which I feel ashamed, because I want to support the first female doctor and all that. I love her outfit. I have I could do a whole cosplay on her.
Yeah.
But I saw something recently where I think it was her who she was like, this next season is going to be a lot better. And I think so.
Yeah, we're talking about that.
When you get into the swing of things.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I thought, I don't know, it was more interesting to me than the last couple, at least.
Yeah, it was.
There was such an infusion of new blood. I liked the history episodes a lot, where they visited the witch hunting thing, the Punjab parts. All those I really liked. The others were I kind of forgot, but those I remembered and I enjoyed.
Yeah.
So I liked that they were trying different stuff. And honestly, my experience was I watched it and I was like, that's pretty fun. And then I got online and what, people are mad? Why? About what?
Yeah, and I really don't know what it is about. I said, some of the episodes were a little bit slower, definitely different from the last couple of seasons that when Stephen Moffat was running the show. So he's off. There's a new showrunner, and I think they're just kind of finding their footing. Chris Chibnall, yeah. So they're finding their footing. I think for me, nothing will compare to the Russell T Davies, David Tennant, and even Christopher Eccleston back when they were doing it, which that was just a whole another just psychedelic sort of run of seasons. So
I didn't know this about you. So are you a Whovian, it seems like? You are a Doctor Who fan?
For sure. If it hasn't been apparent by now.
Because because we're still getting to know each other's pop culture horizons. This is fun. I don't know what you're a big fan of and vice versa.
Oh, yeah.
Sherry is a fan, or not my thing. She says writing needs more. We need more than a location of the week. Which I can take. Although, again, I did enjoy what had happened. She also said that Arrow was ending sad face. Do you watch those?
Oh, Arrow. I'm not a huge Arrowverse person, interestingly enough.
There's so much to watch. There's so much to watch, Sherry.
So much, yeah. I do check on Black Lightning every now and then, but all the other shows, it's oh my gosh.
I'm trying to get an Arrow person on here to discuss the Crisis thing, because I do need a window into that, and I am not qualified. Okay. One more thing before we get to kind of the shows that I'm watching, because I'm been excited about Watchmen recently.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think, are you watching it at all?
I want to hear you convince me to watch it later.
And some materials. Before that, though, I wanted to really quickly hit another pop culture icon returning. Doctor Who's returning next year. And so is Batman. Or maybe 2021, I don't know. The Batman, with Matt Reeves as director. We got Zoe Kravitz as the Catwoman. Mm-hmm. We got Paul Dano as the Riddler. And I was like, okay, fun.
Yeah.
And then we have, apparently, Colin Farrell as the Penguin. Which, okay. I guess when I think of the Penguin, because I'm of a certain age, my mind goes to Danny DeVito being like a 3-foot-tall, roly-poly monster man who bites noses off and just goes like, and I'm like, what? That's not the Penguin.
I'm not sure what Colin, it's Colin Farrell, right?
Colin Farrell,
Colin Farrell. Not Colin Firth. Colin Farrell, what his height
Colin
is.
Firth, very different.
Yes, but
I looked it up. He's 5'9".
Okay, so that's like I don't know. Yeah, I do feel like the whole, like, you gotta look like a penguin sort of thing comes into play here. Maybe that's just me. I think it's also comic book accurate, too. Like, Cobblepot just kind of is, like, short and statured and round like that.
I'm sure they can do... by the way, Diane asks, any idea if some of the cast of Bloodmoon might be used in the prequel? I don't know, Diane. I hope so. Because there was a good cast. Basically, I just want Naomi Watts to get work, and I want her to be in... a show that I want to watch because I love her, and I'm sure the rest of them are talented too. Although most of them are unknowns. And like I said, the one of them, Naomi Ackie, just said basically on a red carpet somewhere, like, it's too bad, but it happens, and I'm gonna do other stuff.
And Naomi Accie's got Star Wars.
She's in Less Skywalker. She's fine.
She'll be something will come up.
And as Sherry Fix said, Bullseye guy. Yes, Bullseye is now the Penguin. I also gotta say, like, 3 villains seems like a lot.
Yeah,
I don't know why you burden yourself at the screenplay level with that.
That's something I didn't really think about. Like, I was getting all these castings, and it's kind of like I feel like they all need to have, like, their time to shine, or else, like, it'll succumb to, like, Avengers problem, where there's just so many people that they're not getting enough screen time. So yeah, I really don't know, unless they're gonna, like, just gang up on Batman, which... I feel like that happens a lot anyway, so.
I mean, I guess that Batman is such an old property, and there's so many different iterations of it, that there's so many different ways to do it.
Yeah.
That, like, your Batman is not someone else's Batman. Mm-hmm. When I think of a good Batman movie, I think of, like, Batman versus a dude, like, versus the Joker, or versus
I see,
the Penguin. And just, I start to get a little nervous when you're like, wait, why are you loading this up? You're not going to actually focus on any of them, are you? Why are you bothering hiring these awesome people if they're not going to get any screen time?
Yeah. I thought, though, didn't they, like, with the Mr. Freeze thing, I thought there was another villain in that, which...
There was Poison Ivy.
Poison Ivy,
played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, and
Bane!
Bane, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, well, he was barely in it. He was, like... he wasn't in it. He was a silent, like, screaming grunter, just henchman dude. See, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Bane was not in that movie. It was they stuck in a henchman and just kind of called him Bane. He had no personality or anything. That's the problem. That's what's going to happen to one of these 3. That's my worry. Exactly. Thank you for my point, Richard.
I think we saw what was going to happen in this movie. Yeah, because it's like with these last couple, like, obviously, Bane did. He had his own personality. He was a great villain. That was...
you talk like this.
Yeah, he... Oh, what a great... You get, like, a little Pringles can and, like, pretend to talk like him. Obviously, Heath Ledger's Joker was just immaculate and amazing. Though, before that, with the very first Christian Bale Batman, though, they kind of had, like, a weird, like... I think it was, like, Ra's al Ghul and, like...
Oh, it was pretty solid. The Scarecrow was in there.
So, yeah, we'll see. I think it's possible, but... The spotlight is going to have to go to at least one villain.
I think Louise has a type of comment.
Jim Carrey. I forgot about Jim Carrey.
Honestly, I liked that one. I was really little when I saw it, and I was like, I know it's like not thought of well today, but I was like, I love that spangly suit.
Yeah.
Louise says, hopefully the villains will not be all over in one film, and the story continues in future films.
Yeah.
Now that, I think, is insightful, because I see that, and I'm thinking, okay, we don't make, like, standalone movies anymore when it comes to superheroes. So maybe what they're doing is setting up a Batman universe or something.
That, or what just came to mind, setting up and I know this was done in video games, but like an Arkham Asylum type of thing.
Yeah.
That was so well done in the video games that might be the only, even though the Joker kind of was like the organizer behind the whole Arkham Asylum thing, but you still got to have all those villains, including Killer Croc, which I don't think they're going to bring that guy back from Suicide Squad, unfortunately, but...
I think they're taking Harley Quinn out of Suicide Squad, and everyone else they're saying, no.
See ya. But that, what I would actually like to see pull it off. And if not, the video game is fine as it is.
It would be a new direction, so, do what you want. I'm just a nerd getting frightened over nothing. And finally, fall TV season is here.
Yeah.
And I am happily watching some new shows.
Yay.
On HBO mostly.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's other stuff, but that's why I've been going. There are two shows I want to talk about, just touch on briefly, in case you guys are watching. I'm curious to hear if you guys are watching anything new. Let us know, because I want to hear what you're watching. And if you want to watch along with me, feel free. I'm reviewing, I'm not reviewing, but I'm watching Watchmen on HBO, and I'm watching His Dark Materials on HBO. Now, Watchmen are you familiar at all with Watchmen, like the original comic back in the day?
I know the comic. I had to study it and all. I took a
Did you really, for a class?
I took a comic book class. What a nerd in college. So I do know what happens in the original. Yeah.
I mean, this is a 30 years later sequel kind of thing. Like that is, if you remember, that's Silk Spectre 30 years later. Laurie Blake. I can't pronounce her last name. Just pick. It's very, very bold. Like Damon Lindelof, the guy who does Lost and Leftovers, is doing it. And I really admire the way he and his team have kind of created... They've gone all in on inventing a lot of interesting new wrinkles for their imagined alternate American history. Like, Robert Redford's been president for a couple of decades.
Yes,
he did run for president, by the way. I didn't know that. Like, in the early 90s.
Ooh.
And he won in this reality. Squids Fall from the Sky. It kicks off with... it's tied into the historical event of the Tulsa race riots, which happened in the 20s, where white people kind of... burn down sort of black businesses in Tulsa. It's very daring because it touches on touchy issues, and I was afraid it would spin out of control quickly because it's incendiary stuff.
Yeah.
But so far it's been very steady and very interesting. A great balance of there's some comic bits with Jeremy Irons' character, and there's some more serious bits with Regina King and Jean Smart as Laurie Blake. This last episode sold it for me. If you start watching, I'd encourage watch the third episode because that's when it kind of clicked for me.
Okay.
When this new character, Laurie Blake, played by Jane Smart, came in and kind of brought back the comics' whole focus on kind of revealing the gross, weird underbelly of superhero-dom, where it's what do you really do? What sane person puts on a cape and a mask and goes and does this? This is really weird and bizarre of you, and you should probably stop.
Yeah.
I liked that they are kind of baking that into the fabric of the show. I think we're ready for this kind of show. There's superheroes everywhere.
Yeah.
In movies. We are due for a bit of a pinprick to that balloon.
Yeah. Kind of also sounds like the premise for Amazon's The
Boys
in a little bit of a way.
It does. I haven't seen The Boys.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this is more tasteful.
I would assume. That I would assume. And it obviously has a lot more buzz.
Yes, it does. Amazon, you keep trying, Amazon. You'll get it. You got Lord of the Rings with a time coming. So I really, really enjoyed the last episode I saw, and I'm looking forward officially now to the rest of the season, which apparently is going to be a self-contained thing, which is also kind of daring and unusual in this day and age.
So no hope for a season 2 or...
The way I've read it, we made this to be self-contained. If they want us to continue, I'm sure we can think of something, but I think that's good because, I don't know, there's so many shows. It's nice to be able to watch one and be I'm not committing 10 years of my life to watching this.
Yeah, that's what that sounds nice to me because I'm so bad at binge watching and keeping up with all these things, which to me, with Disney Plus for The Mandalorian, which is coming out in 6 days.
Oh my God, it's almost here.
They are releasing that basically on a weekly basis. So that makes it nice and easy and digestible for me, who is just absolutely terrible at keeping up with
I'm totally with you. I'm all
shows.
for weekly stuff. Sherry, by the way, loved The Boys, which is great. I didn't watch it yet. Maybe I will.
Yeah.
It looked interesting. And Christian asks, how much tie from Watchmen movie is there in the series? There's a lot. The Watchmen movie is, I think they're mostly going off the comic. The movie kind of adapted the comic, but not very well. Garth and his answer in The Boys is the answer to the question, who watches The Watchmen? Oh, how fun.
Uh-huh.
It is directly related. I like it. And Christian asks, should I have my wife watch it for her to enjoy the series? My wife watch it for her to enjoy the series. I think you'll both like it, Christian. Me too, in my opinion. That's my take on that. I am really enjoying it, and I'm honest to God curious.
Oh, I think he's asking how much, like, do you need to watch the movie in order to watch the series?
I mean, that's a good question. I'm familiar with the comic pretty well, so I came into it okay.
Oh, yeah.
Do you? You know what? I'm going to say no.
Just read the Wikipedia article.
I don't think you have to. I feel like they're trying. I mean, it's a bit of a jump in the deep end thing, but I don't think it's insurmountable. Mm-hmm. I think that you'll be okay if you just start from scratch and get to the third episode. If you don't like it by then you can mosey on out. But I think it's worth watching through to that. Okay, the movie or the book, either one.
Yeah.
And also, I'm watching His Dark Materials, which is an adaptation of Philip Pullman's trilogy of the same name.
Because I've seen some like mixed reviews where it's like the Brits enjoyed it, and then
Yeah,
like the
I did see
American
that.
audience was kind of like split.
Yeah, that's been the consensus, and I see what they mean.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what about the British is making them like it so much, but yeah, I gotta say, like, I read the books by Philip Pullman. It takes place in kind of like an alternate steampunk version of our world where we all have little animal friends. That's fun. They can talk. They're our best friends.
They're called demons.
They're called demons. They're called demons, but it's spelled Damon. I don't know. It's spelled with like this dumb letter, like a backwards letter that you.
Yeah, it's like
not on the keyboard. It's very
sort of
irritating.
thing, yeah.
I have to copy paste it. It's about a girl named Lyra Belacqua, who's, you know, in some ways it's pretty standard. Like, she's a child of destiny.
Yeah.
There's a prophecy, because there's always a prophecy.
Yeah.
And she has to save the world, yada, yada, yada. But in the books, it's the way that it's kind of it's a very relaxed epic fantasy. The way it's kind of, it's sort of modern, but not, it's like Victorian era modern, but a little past that.
Yeah.
I liked just the laid back feel of the books and the way that it just kind of was a little more careful and cautious and calm.
Mm-hmm.
It's their souls, says Sherry. The show, I didn't love the first episode. I thought it was fine.
No, yeah.
Yeah, it was just fine. I thought they gave too much of the stuff away. Because, like, the nice thing about the books is that it's all from this girl's perspective, from life's perspective. And, you know, we learned things about the world that are important as she learns them. And in the show, they, like, had this, like, text crawl at the start where they, like, kind of feed us some of that information. They checked in with people who we don't check in with in the books to, like, talk about, like, the questions of the series. And I just didn't like that. I liked it better if you kind of discover it as she does as it goes along.
Yeah, to me, it's kind of like a show don't tell sort of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, like
which Watchmen does. Like, Watchmen does not fill you in. I thought it was better for that.
Yeah.
And His Dark Materials seem to be kind of playing with kid gloves. It is more of a kid show, I guess. But Britain loves it. It got huge ratings over there.
Yeah.
It is like a cool like middle ground because it's not like it's obviously not Game of Thrones like violence, fantasy, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's also not like Winnie the Pooh, which is Winnie the Pooh week on Fansided pretty soon, by the way. Winnie the Pooh Day.
Next week, next Wednesday.
Exactly. Oh yeah, you could talk about that.
Oh yeah.
So
Quick aside.
It is like this, like, it's really good. It's like your family could watch it together and have a nice time. So maybe that's why they wanted to include the more spoon
That's funny
because
it looked like the trailer made it look to be sort of like dark. Because at first I thought it was the way you described. Mm-hmm. And then for some reason the second trailer looked like they really like amped up the darkness. And I don't know if that was like to appeal to like last minute Game of Thrones audience or something like that. To be like, hey, look at what we have to offer. You know, it's just like, you know.
I mean, like, has dark corners to the story.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't go anywhere near Game of Thrones level. Like, there's no children pushed out windows. There's no incest. There's none of that. There's no cursing.
Yeah.
But it's good for, like, you know, the kind of the person of Lyra's age, someone like 10, 11, 12, like just on the cusp. Because it's got a fairy tale-like feel to it, but also there's some darkness in there because, at that age, you're exploring stuff. I think it's a good, safe space to explore that with people who are older or younger, which is very good. And maybe that's the reason they thought they should spoon-feed some more information, but I don't personally like that very much. But first episode, I'm going to watch more.
Okay, yeah, just to give a little
But yeah,
sense.
those are two shows that I think are both pretty great. Also watching The Good Place, that's fun. Are you watching anything right now?
I am watching all the, as they might say in Britain, crap telly.
The crap telly, okay. Which crap telly is that?
Oh my gosh, so 90 Day Fiancé just started. As we get a cheer from the booth from Richard. Oh my goodness, that is just all sorts of, and a lot of it is manufactured drama, but I can't stay away from it. You've got these people. I think some of them are kind of like pullovers from the last season or something like that, but there's just so much drama about like friends calling each other out, like you only want to date this person so that they can get a green card, or you only like them for their money. And sometimes it happens. It happened on the last season where this poor guy was like texting this girl from Ukraine, and he never saw her like physically, and everybody thought he was getting catfished by like a man or something. And then it just turns out that she's just like, oh, I just like texting a lot of guys, seeing if they'll buy me stuff. It was so sad. He was so devastated because he got played. So that's one thing I'm watching on TLC. They also have this show called Welcome to Plathville, where it's about this family. They're all like platinum blonde family. They look really weird. I'm sorry. And they just,
I think Corinne is watching this. Oh my God, that show, that
crazy,
that
yeah, the 90 Day Fiancé. But the Plathville show is about this family where they kind of just live off the grid. They're not really Amish, but it's like the parents don't feed them sugar, which is okay. One guy is like, I've never had a Coke until I was 20 years old. They don't watch TV, they don't watch movies, so they like all of this they would not understand. So that was actually kind of interesting too. I watched that last night. And then I'm just watching like some random like comedy stuff. So I'm a big South Park person.
Of course.
Big Family Guy person. Simpsons I've been checking in and out of. It's been so.
Is there any upcoming show you're looking forward to?
An upcoming
like someone
show?
said The Witcher they're looking forward to up there.
Oh my gosh, that's right. I would only say The Mandalorian.
Yeah,
I know that's streaming, but
no, that totally counts.
Yeah.
You kidding?
I am super duper excited. I can't believe it. It feels like Christmas.
And two folks brought up Outlander.
Outlander.
Do you watch Outlander?
I'm not an Outlander person. I have never checked out Outlander.
I have not either, but I assure you, Sherry and Terry, when it starts, I will have somebody who does watch Outlander on here because I do know that is a beloved show that I really.
Yeah.
If I had the time to get into it, it's just too much.
Yeah. It's interesting to see, like, even like through the comments and between us, it's like everybody has like that niche of what they like to watch.
It's like, it's kind of show that you can tell has a fervent following, right?
Oh, yeah.
Outlander.
Yeah.
Just like working in this space, like even I've not watched it, but just like going around the internet, there's enough like passionate exclamations that this show is cared about.
I mean, who's the lead? The lead guy is kind of hot. So
Sam Heughan.
Yeah. Lots of kilt action, I think. Is that
tons of kilt action?
Is that true? I mean, that might be enough to make me stick around and watch.
We can try and get into Outlander on this show too, but for right now, we got Watching Materials, The Mandalorian coming up, and 90 Day Fiancé.
Please, absolutely, 90 Day Fiancé.
We'll be back with more of everything involving that, plus more Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire news, fantasy sci-fi discussion. And more TV talk, movie talk, when we come back next Wednesday, 4 p.m. Central Time, right here on the Wonder Woman Facebook page. We're also available on iTunes, Google Play, Spreaker, wherever podcasts are downloadable. If you want to listen to us in audio form. Thanks for watching, everybody. Oh, by the way, Terry says, Mia, I think you will like it.
Oh, snap.
There you go. Thanks a lot, everybody. So we'll see you next week here at 4 p.m. Adios.
Bye.